Vice President, Vice President Ford this morning, as he left his home to come here for this occasion, said it was indeed one of the saddest incidents that he's ever seen. And there's the president waving goodbye, and you hear the applause.
You know, because I guess that morning he did this thing where he went up the little staircase to the plane, and he did this thing with his famous V gesture, and so three friends came over that afternoon, and we just had a little miniature celebration that he was gone. And then he was pardoned, which was kind of disappointing. But
5 burglars meet outside the sprawling Watergate complex with a simple plan. Break into the Democratic National Committee headquarters on the 6th floor. This is a crew largely comprised of Cuban Americans, ex-CIA agents flown in from Miami. They're on assignment for Howard Hunt, a former CIA operative, and G. Gordon Liddy. Both men work for the committee to re-elect President Richard Nixon. Hunt and Liddy wait at the Watergate Hotel, while a locksmith on the burglars' crew opens the front door of the Democratic National Committee offices. The team's electronics expert wiretaps 2 of the office phones. A few minutes later, the 5 men exit the building undetected.
It really dragged on. And you did have this weird feeling that we can't do anything else until this is settled. It was like everything else was on pause, suspended, because he really couldn't do president stuff, because he was, every day there was some new revelation of, some malfeasance or cover-up or lie.
Washington has been inundated by another massive set of Watergate transcripts. This stack of documents was distributed by the House Judiciary Committee yesterday to the news media for dissemination this evening. These 8 volumes contain what the committee has been hearing and reading and leaking from behind its closed door since the 9th of May.
Okay, it's sort of disappointing and disillusioning for a lot of people, I think, to find out that the president had gotten up to what Nixon had gotten up to.
Nixon releases edited transcripts of the White House tapes to the public. The tapes themselves are not released, but Americans are surprised by the president's vulgar language. The U.S. Supreme Court orders Richard Nixon to release the White House tapes.
It was the knockout blow. If we didn't have the tapes, I don't know whether we would have gotten him or not.
He hung himself, really, with his own tape, which is one of the tragedies of Watergate.
Of all the tapes, a recording from June 23, 1972, is the most devastating. The press labels it the smoking gun because it proves that the president obstructed justice 6 days after the break-in.
It's very detrimental to have this thing going further. This involves the Cubans and a lot of hanky things.
The President of the United States is telling his chief of staff to interfere with the Watergate investigation. This is a clear violation of the law. The House Judiciary Committee passes an article of impeachment against the president for obstruction of justice. Within 3 days, Congress passes 2 more articles of impeachment, one for abuse of power and another for contempt of Congress.
Mr. Drynan. Aye. Mr. Rangel. Aye.
That even the president couldn't get away with breaking the law. That is the most powerful man in the world, arguably, that our Constitution and our laws and our institutions were strong enough to tell him, no, you're done. You don't get to do that. The system worked kind of way, that there was a mechanism that could check him and kind of say, yeah, you don't get to be president anymore.
With the threat of impeachment looming, Nixon addresses the nation.
I have never been a quitter. To leave office before my term is completed is abhorrent to every instinct in my body. But as president, I must put the interests of America first. America needs a full-time president and a full-time Congress, particularly at this time with problems we face at home and abroad. Therefore, I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
2 years later, the Republicans lost the White House to Democratic outsider Georgia Governor Jimmy Carter. He pledged a new era of honesty in the White House.
It's impeachment has been kind of this recurring possibility ever since Watergate. It's something that can happen, and so that kind of changes the political calculus a bit. That the possibility is just out there.